the odd mushroom. When consumed, it gives a whole 50% damage buff. Wait, that means there would have to be a downside, wouldn't there? Alright, if you say so. You piece of... By the way, this is only part 1 of the challenge, so I'll only be using the first tier of this buff. If you want to stay caught up, consider subscribing, because it only gets crazier from here. I started the playthrough by spawning a bunch of odd mushrooms in my inventory, giving me an infinite buff. Of course, I went as summoner since I wouldn't have to aim at whichever one's the right one. Alright, cue the montage. And after some time, I was able to get some gear, accessories, and my first summon. And I also got the Snapthorn, which looked a bit off. With all of that, I was finally prepared for my first boss, the Desert Scourge. But there was an itty-bitty problem. The summon item was found in the underground desert. You know it, I couldn't find the underground desert. I even found a magic carpet, but still, no underground desert. But the last desert I checked actually had one, so I picked up the materials to craft the boss summon, as well as the Stormjaw staff, and went to fight. Since the Stormjaw staff hard counters any worm boss, I was dealing enough DPS to not even have to worry about the mirages, and the scores went down quickly. With my new loot, I crafted Victide armor. At this point, I didn't even have Hermes boots. But since I had the magic carpet, I didn't need them. With this, I got enough lenses for the suspicious looking eye and summoned the Eye of Cthulhu. I think I'm getting carried by the 50% damage buff because these fights feel a little too easy. With 2 bosses defeated, as one does, I got a little bit overconfident and tried to fight the Queen Bee first. And with little mobility and early game summons, you already know how that went. By the way, I also got the Hermes boots and the shiny red balloon from the Tinkerer, but I honestly don't know where that part is in the recording, so I'm just gonna say it here. So I gave up on that and decided to go for the Brain of Cthulhu. But before that, I knew I was undergeared, so I built an instivator and stocked up on potions and life crystals. And of course, I still ignored my mobility and didn't try to get the rocket boots, which would have made this part a lot easier. By this time, I also realized that you had to break a Crimson Heart to get the Goblin Army to spawn, which would get me rocket boots. So I did that and went back to losing. Looking back, I had the strategy of doing zigzags across the arena, which worked but was difficult to pull off because of my lack of course, rocket boots. But eventually, I did it, and it was much closer than I thought it would be. With the brain defeated, I had access to the Deathbringer pickaxe, which I used to mine for a molten pickaxe and the imp staff. I also crafted obsidian armor with the tissue samples. And after that little trip, I was back to the Crimson to fight the Perforators. After fighting the Perforators for a bit, the Goblin army finally came. I'm not sure how, but I was able to fight them from my Crimson spawn point. And finally, I was able to get my Rocky Boots, which I crafted into Spectre Boots. And finally, this happened. With the Perforators defeated, Aerialite was now available, so I bought a gravitation potion and mined enough to craft the armor. My storage was also getting pretty messy, so I finally made a magic storage as well. With the new gear, I was able to defeat the Queen Bee and didn't even get enough to craft a set of bee armor. Okay, so I guess we're sticking with Aerialite for now. Right after, I first tried Skeletron, which felt nice after taking so long to beat the past 3 bosses. Since the dungeon was now accessible, I went in, trying to get 3 items. The Spinal Tap, which I got the bones for rather quickly, the Cobalt Shield, which I got from the first few chests, and finally the Staff of Necrostiala, you know what I'm talking about, which took a while to get due to its drop rate, but I eventually got it. Keep the 3rd item in mind, because it was especially useful against After that, I beat King Slime to get the solidifier so that I could craft some new armor. With the crafting station, I was able to make some Statagel armor. I also may or may not have completely forgot about Crabulon, so yeah. And with that, there's one boss left. So I might have made a pretty big mistake. Whatever you do, do not craft the Eye of Night right before the wall. It it's not even that bad, it's just that the items in the recipe are much more effective. So I spent some time getting another summon weapon, the herring staff, as well as whatever else I could get. Yeah, so that happened. I tried to see if my screen recorder did it anyway, but no. This staff is easy enough to get, and the buffs I have make it pretty obvious I was in the abyss anyway, so you can just trust me with this one. And finally, it was time to fight the wall. After a few tries, I did it. And yeah, that's basically all for pre-hard mode. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.